All right, guys, I am going to be going through with you what your first assignment for your IA is, which is titled Assignment 1 for IA Research. You can find this in the Google Classroom, and what you're going to be turning in is going to be this Word document in which you're going to be talking to ChatGPT, trying to compile resources that you could use for your IA. Now, you're not just going to be talking to ChatGPT, you're also going to be using Gemini. And it's preferred that you sign up for Gemini Advanced to be able to do this. It does cost money, but it's free for the first month. And then if you're able to do that, you're going to be able to double verify your information through AI, which is a much more trustworthy way of using AI for resources. So I'm going to be walking you through this by using this PowerPoint. This PowerPoint is also on Google Classroom, which you can go back and reference through. So the first question that you're going to type into ChatGPT is going to be your prompt word for word. You'll type it in and ChatGPT will populate information. You're going to take that information and in your own words, you're going to write down answers to it. Specifically, you're just trying to summarize the major points of this. You're going to bold terms that you want to ask later. And there's aspects where ChatGPT might be vague, and you'll want to make a note that you're going to want specific examples later. If you look right here, you can see how I've done this in a teacher-made example. So in your chart on your Google Doc, you'll write your question, which was whatever your prompt was. And then off to the side, I wrote the major ideas, and then I bolded terms that I felt like I needed more information about. You also see in parentheses, I wrote down where I needed specific examples or wanted quotes that I can go back and ask ChatGPT for later. The second question you're going to want is, what is the historiography of this topic? You can see right here, I typed that into ChatGPT. And historiography is the history of history. So this is going to give you a history of what historians have said about your topic. You'll want to make note of the historians and other authors that are referenced. Now, hopefully it's giving you some summaries about this as well. And you'll want to make a note that sometimes ChatGPT is going to give you historians that are not directly related to your question. You're going to have to be the one to determine if you want to go down that rabbit trail or not. This is part of the critical thinking process that you're trying to use. Now, if the historiography is not specific, if it's overall vague, you're going to need to ask a follow-up question to ask for a specific list of authors who have written about this topic. So again, this is how I did it in my own. I wrote the historiography, and then these were people that it gave me. You can see in my own example, it didn't give me any works, just basically told me what they talked about. And so I'm going to ask later on more specifics. This is where I do that. So my third question is provide specific works by, and then I just list off the authors that ChatGPT had given me, which you can see over here. And then I want a brief summary of each work. Now, when you're asking for works, it's most likely going to give you books first. Books are good, but they're also big. So we're also going to eventually ask for academic articles, which are kind of the gold nuggets that we're looking for in doing this IA. So you can see I asked for the specific books. I also asked for it to be more specific because it just talked about Columbian historians, like who are the Columbian historians. And I start to compile a list of books right here. The next question I'm going to ask is for academic articles and citations written by these authors as well. If it doesn't provide a brief summary, ask for a brief summary because this will help you understand if the academic articles are directly referencing the topic that you're trying to answer, or if it's just adjacent or indirect, which may mean you don't want to try to find them. In my own Google Doc, I now have a list of academic articles that I need to go research. So for question 5, this is where you're going to go back to question 1. And with question 1, I had these bolded terms that I wanted more information about, and I wanted more specific examples for certain things. So for question 5, I asked more about those specific things, such as the search block. In this, I'm also going to ask for citations and references, which ChatGPT will be able to give me much more accurately now that I've kind of worked through these questions with it already. So you can see I've put in more information about these things that I needed more information about from my first question. And then I asked for it to provide citations and references for this information, which it was able to provide a lot. Now, one thing you want to notice is any duplicates that you saw from the historiography and then from the references on this stuff. The duplicates that you're going to be seeing are probably going to be the books and articles that you're going to want to prioritize in researching. Additionally, you might want to ask for any type of government reports or primary resources, because if it gives you government reports or primary resources, you can also ask for a direct link to it. And more than likely, ChatGPT is going to be able to give you a direct link to primary resources, which then you're going to be able to hyperlink into your worksheet. So you can see I've listed my articles and primary resources here. And you're going to do this as many times as you need to. So go back and repeat 5 and 6. So for example, for my question 5, I asked about the search block, and then I got resources. I would probably now need to go back and ask about the Los Peoples, which was a paramilitary group. And I would need to get resources on that as well. You want to take it one at a time. ChatGPT works better when you do it that way. After that, you're going to want to go to Gemini. Specifically use Gemini Advanced. So it's $20 a month, but it's free for the first month, which is how long you'll be needing it. Once you get Gemini Advanced, you're going to want to make sure that you're using the Gemini 2.0 Experimental Advanced search engine. How you do that is when you get on Gemini Advanced, it's automatically going to put you at the 1.5 Pro, which honestly isn't very good. And you'll want to scroll down, find 2.0 Experimental Advanced, and click on that and make sure you're using that. It's going to say that it lacks access to real-time info. It's still the best one for what we're trying to do. And you're going to go through and repeat all these steps on Gemini Advanced. Now, you don't need to rewrite down all the information that you have, but you will want to make notes of sources that are overlapping. Likely means that they're better. Additionally, you'll want to write down any new sources that you think will help answer your IA. Where you're going to do that is right here on the step 2. After you do that, then the real hunt is going to begin. From there, you are now going to have to go find all of these articles and books. The goal is for you to try to find as many as you possibly can by Monday at 11:59 p.m. Now, how would you find these? There's 4 different places that you can start to look. The first is Google Scholar. You'll need a Google login, and it works as a basic search function where it can try to find books and articles for you. Sometimes you're going to need access to this, and you might be able to get that through JSTOR. JSTOR is a massive library of academic articles, and your school login should give you access to 100 articles for free. The problem with JSTOR is that its search function is not very good and can get overall confusing. So what might be helpful is to go to Google Search. You would type in your academic article, and then you would just write JSTOR at the end of it, and it could potentially pop it up a little bit easier for you. And then you would just access it through Google Search. If you can't find it in Google Scholar or in JSTOR for free, I would use Google Search as a way to be able to find out more information about it. Is it available to purchase? Is it potentially a free PDF online that's not in JSTOR, but it's just equal access for everybody? After that, we're going to have to get a little more committed to finding it. The Fulton County Library is a great way to find books and academic articles. Every single library has librarians on staff that will help you research. You just have to find the time to go talk to them. But before maybe even doing that, we can also go to our school library. The media specialist I've talked to is willing to order books for us, but we have to order books by next Wednesday, which is why this has to be completed ASAP. They can also help you potentially find academic articles that you're struggling to find for free. So what's due on 11:59 p.m. is going to be this list of academic articles that you have from ChatGPT and from Gemini. At minimum, you're going to need 10. Some of you guys might have 30 or 40. You can start to make additional notes about page numbers that you're looking at, specific information that these documents have, things like that. If you have a link for it or a physical copy, you want to write that here. And if you don't, we need to try to figure out how many links we have and which ones we don't, so we can start to brainstorm that next week. And that is it. If you have questions, let me know.